I guess you could say I don't have fear because I'm confident enough that there'll be a solution. And even if the worst case scenario happens, I surround myself with a lot of people who can help if that happened.
Yeah.
And I think I've done right by enough other people that if I needed that help, I'd get it.
Yeah. Hey everybody, my name is Tom LaFaso. This is the Follow the Winners podcast. Today I'm here with Tim Wan, the owner of this amazing law firm that I'm sitting in right now. I know this is a little bit different of a scene that you're probably used to seeing on the podcast. So I have Tim with me today. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Timothy Wan. I'm the CEO of Smith Carode, Wan & Parikh. It's a law firm, and we are a division of also the Wan Law Group, which is sort of an umbrella for all the other different kinds of services that we can provide.
Cool. Awesome. So to jump into that a little bit deeper, tell me about who you are.
Oh, sure. I mean, I could talk about that all day. Yeah, it's my favorite topic. So I didn't really ever think I was going to be a lawyer. When I was growing up, I wanted to be an actor. I wanted to be on stage. I remember this moment in 4th grade. I got the lead in a play. I didn't try out. The teacher just kind of said, "Here's the roles." Years later, I went back and I asked her, "How come I got that lead?" It was Phileas Fogg in Around the World in 80 Days. And here it is. I'm doing musical theater, and she told me later on. She said it was because I had the highest grades in the class, so she figured I could memorize the lines. So that was the correlation. But I remember standing on stage in 4th grade and going, "Ooh, I like this." Getting a standing ovation. Of course, you're going to give 9-year-olds a standing ovation, right? So I remember loving that, and then always getting a lead in plays, always playing the dad or the king or the villain. And then at some point, I realized that it wasn't really going to work out, that I'd like to eat, and being a starving artist was not what I wanted to do. So I ended up going to law school. I mean, I always liked the law, and really a lot of performance is in being in a courtroom. It's definitely a sharing of skills.
Absolutely.
So here it is. I was on stage, performing, and now I'm in the courtroom performing, and it's not that much different because you're still trying to, use your witnesses to tell a story to the judge and jury, which is not that much different than using your actors to try to tell a story to an audience. So I enjoyed that, and then I went to entertainment law. So I worked at some big companies in the music industry and the movie industry, and I didn't really love being on that side of the fence. Tried to go to the artist side, so I'd stand in the back of clubs wearing, nice suit, getting press kits, going door to door to try to get record deals. And when, the entire music industry changed in 2000, 2001, it was a huge problem on the artist side. And so I went running home to my parents' house in Dix Hills, trying to look for any job I can get to pay some student loans. Found this firm 7 minutes from my house in Comac, Smith Carode, that does collections. And I don't know what collections is, but I'll go give it a shot. And that was 2001. So I've been here ever since. We've been through a lot of different partners along the way. The last partner passed. So Smith and Carode were dead before we were born. Like they founded the firm in 1930. Bob Levy was a senior partner when I joined, and he passed in 2017. And when he passed away, we had 11 full-time employees, and we just hired number 26 right now. So we're up to 26 employees in the last 5 or 6 years. So I think I'm doing something right in the right direction.
Yeah. And we're in Smithtown right now. So. Do you actually live close to here?
I live in Dix Hills.
Oh, okay.
I live in the same house.
Same.
Yeah. I actually the house that I was raised in. My grandfather had the house built for him.
Oh, cool.
He had 7 children.
Wow.
And as they got married, they moved out. Except under Chinese tradition, the oldest son stays with the family. So my dad stayed with the family. When he got married, my mom moved in. When I was born, they turned a closet into a bedroom.
Nice.
And so after law school and after I realized the entertainment law was a very, very difficult industry. When I came running home, my grandparents got sick. So ultimately, when they passed, the only ones left in the house are my parents and I. So I bought the house with my parents from my grandparents' estate.
Wow.
So I'm in the same home I grew up in, and now my wife and my kids are going to the same school district and the same schools I went to. In fact, one of the funny things is my music teacher when I was in elementary school. So when I was in that play, the music teacher was like the young, the young music teacher that all the boys are like, oh, she's so pretty, she's so pretty. My kids had her. and she's like a woman in her,
Yeah.
near the end of her career.
Yeah.
She actually retired right around COVID,
Wow.
but she was their teacher, and she remembered me, which is pretty crazy.
So funny.
Yeah, but I live in Dixels.
How many kids do you have?
3. They're 14, 11, and
Wow.
9.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
You didn't know that? Okay.
No, I didn't know you had 3 kids.
But I think it's a great range
Yeah.
because they can all shower themselves. They can all, wipe their own bottoms. You're not dealing with,
Yeah.
potty training anymore.
Yeah.
But here's the thing is,
Now it's
no one's
teens.
driving.
Oh yeah.
No one's driving and dating. We're not there yet. So that's good. That's a
you're
good range.
creeping into the teen years.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, she's 14. She's
go.
not one of those girls who's going out and boyfriend all the time. She's not quite there yet.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Take it slow.
Yeah.
Um,
No, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So I mean, you basically have grown up around here, and it's kind of
Yep.
kept you in the area,
Yep.
which is really cool.
and we bought this building last June.
Okay, yeah. So
So,
it's brand new.
It's brand new.
Yeah.
We gutted it to the studs.
I actually took some videos, so I'm gonna try
you
and
did?
overlay them into this.
Oh,
So,
cool.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
people can kind of see. I'll definitely have to go upstairs and take.
Yeah,
some more.
yeah. But we
Wait.
gutted it to the studs.
Yeah.
Because
It's old, right?
the building it's got to be at least 70 years old.
But there's fireplaces like everywhere.
Yeah, there's a fireplace. There's we gutted it to the studs, but we weren't gonna rip down brick.
Yeah. No.
But yeah, we gutted it. We replaced it. I mean, it was very old. It was very dated.
Yeah.
Some of it had some mold and mildew. But we gutted it, and then we replaced it with kind of our own image.
Yeah.
So every room's got a theme. A lot of it's based on pop culture, and a lot of fun little nods and
Yeah.
Easter eggs here and there.
What room are we sitting in right
Oh,
now?
so this is we joke that it's Wayne Manor or Juan Manor. So it's got that old in the old Batman TV show where you had that very the books and the burgundies and the woods, as opposed to the other room next to it, the other conference room, which has got the dark gray and the black furniture, the leather, and that's the Bat Cave with a red phone in the middle.
Yeah.
So different rooms have different themes.
I love it though. It makes it so much fun because it was like one of the first things you said to me.
Yeah,
when
well, I mean,
came
if
here.
you go to like a big hotel, usually you find it's the Montauk room or the Hamptons room, right? And if you go to a traditional law office, you're gonna see conference room A, conference room B. Like that's what you're gonna get. So my law partner, she says, "Come on, Tim, you're more creative than that." So every room's themed and every room's named. Now, it doesn't look like a 12-year-old boy's bedroom, but it's still got enough touches and Easter eggs to understand.
Oh,
so,
absolutely.
So there's one conference room that isn't for main conferences; it's for internal conferences. We call that the Sanctum Sanctorum, based on Doctor Strange. So you got to be invited in to get there, right? And so it's fun. It's fun, and why not have a little fun? We own the building. So.
Absolutely, yeah. You have to have fun,
Yeah.
especially when you're spending so much time here. When you're here, however many hours and days a week, kind of thing.
That's right.
So awesome. That's great. I think that's a great starting point for people to understand kind of who you are. The second question, I love asking everybody this because I've been learning just kind of about the different ways people look at it. So the word in the question is success. So what is success to you is the ultimate question.
What is success to me? I think it's the ability to know that I don't have to worry if I'm going to make my mortgage payment. I don't have to worry that I can't afford to pay for my kids, school books or school supplies, whatever they are. Because there's always a point. There's a point. I think everyone's career when they think about, am I going to be able to make that ends meet? Am I going to be able to make that car payment? Am I going to be able to take someone out to dinner if I really want to take my mom out to dinner for Mother's Day or her birthday or something like that?
Yeah.
I think there's that concern, and I think the level of success is, not that I've got a multi-million-dollar building. That wasn't the measure of success. The measure of success for me was knowing that, okay, I don't have to worry about that next paycheck. That I could take the approach of going, I think I'm good. Now I can do these other things.
Yeah.
But I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah, your needs are met. I think that's super important for everybody, even myself. I want to be able to get very comfortably to that point where you're not even blinking an eye on these things. Actually, it kind of even reminds me of how funny it was when I worked at Honda years ago. The owner was always there, and they said that I remember one day they were like, yeah, he his cable got shut off because he didn't pay his cable bill, and it's like this guy was so rich that he just didn't pay bills, he didn't even know to the kind of thing, you know what I mean?
Right.
I was just geez, man, that's kind of a good problem,
Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel also there's the underlying of everything that you said, you brought up family, right?
Yeah.
So being able to pay for your kid's school and just I actually did a podcast a few weeks ago of just myself, and I brought up a story about how I was in eighth grade, ninth grade, something like that. And my neighbor wanted to do a travel soccer team, and he told me about it. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. And we were the same age. So I was like, yeah, I'd love to try out for it. I told my parents, and like, yeah, you can try out. So I went and tried out for the team. Like a week goes by, whatever, they call you, like, all right, you made the team. And it's like, awesome. And then they're like, yeah, so it's like, whatever it was, like $700 for the season. My parents were just like, yeah, we can't afford that.
Right.
And like my friend ended up being on the team and doing it, and he met a bunch of the guys were a year older than us. So once we went into high school, now you got friends that are older than you. And I didn't have any of that, and it sucked. And I was like, man, this sucks.
Yeah.
But it's those little things that...
Right.
That, for me, like, I don't know if it ate my parents alive, or maybe they didn't think about it at all, you know? I have no idea. But, like, in my future, I would love to be able to, like, my kid wants to do something, like, even shows the slightest interest in something.
Yeah,
like, let's
being
go,
able to do it.
Yeah, let's
Right.
go balls to the walls, like, whatever. You want to surf, you want to make music, you want to do this, like, let's try it out. And here's all the tools to try it.
That's right. That's right.
I just think that's so powerful.
Yeah, so like my measure of success isn't, oh, do you have a fancy car? I don't. I mean, I don't have a $100,000 car. I wasn't interested in that.
Yeah.
But being able to say to my kids, you want to try softball? Try it. Didn't make the team? All right. Well, I spent a couple $100 on equipment. Now we'll play with that in the backyard, but at least you gave it a try and not depriving them. Or like I said the other night, like, oh, it's my mom wants authentic Chinese dinner, and I don't know how to make that. She doesn't want to make it. It's Mother's Day or it's her birthday. I want to be able to go to a fancy restaurant in New York City that has that food.
Yeah.
Some people don't have that, and that to me, that's the level of success.
Yeah.
You know, I don't need the big world tours and the cruises and the fancy car. I want to make sure that when we have a luxury that we want, we can take care of it.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at.
No, I think that's huge. I also just have a hard time with society today trying to tell me that, like, those kinds of things are like a privilege mentality, and it like eats me alive when I think that. I have to be like, no, like, that's not privilege. It's like you have to work hard to get to that point. You know, there's no privilege involved in it. It's literally just like work really hard, then you get to that point, and then you can kind of live it and love it.
It's funny you use the word privilege, because when I did buy my car, and I just talked about a car, so I'm going to bring this story up, is I used the word the privilege of convenience. So, I'm going to name drop. I bought a Nissan Murano.
Cool.
And the reason why I bought a Nissan Murano a few years ago is because it actually had all the features I wanted. So it wasn't about having a fancy car with a fancy name or name brand. It's like, what are the features I wanted?
Yeah.
What are the things I wanted to have in the car to make life convenient? And one of the stupid things is the air-conditioned seats was important, or the fact that, like, if my wife takes the car, you hit the button and the seat and the mirrors move to that person's preference, whereas you can hit a different button, it moves the other person's preference. Like, those are the convenience I wanted. So you know how many times you sit there going, no, the steering wheel's not right, oh, the chair's not in the right spot. It's the worst thing, right? So, like, those are the things. So I used to say the privilege of convenience. So I guess that really answers the question of what is success? It's the privilege of having the convenience.
Yeah.
It's having that convenience of whatever you want, whatever
Absolutely.
you to do that.
No, I love that. I couldn't agree more. You know, it is one of my biggest things too. Like, I even bring up the story a lot too about strawberries. Like, growing up, I love strawberries. I love strawberries. I could eat like tons of strawberries. I love them. But growing up, it was like, oh, we can't get the strawberries unless they're on sale. And it was like, what the fuck? You know what I mean?
Right.
Why? You know what I mean? Like, but we could buy 2 bags of Doritos. Like, that's the same price. You know? It's like, oh man, stuff like that kills me. So now it's like I have.
What strawberries? You're getting strawberries, right?
I don't care what price the strawberries are. I buy them every time. They could be $7 for a box of strawberries. I'll buy them. I don't care, because I'm just like, I want the damn strawberries. I'm gonna get the damn strawberries.
That's right.
You know, and that is, I love that though. I really do. Like, I love that I can actually see that I'm like, oh, I'm at this point in my life. Like, I
just
can do it. Like, and I don't even have to think about it. I'm just like, yeah.
And we're not talking about going on a world cruise. We're not talking about private jets. You're just talking about little modern day easy conveniences. So that's my level.
And they're all out there. You know, like, all these things are there. You know,
hey, go to see a movie.
Yeah.
Some people, nowadays you go see a movie, it's $100.
Literally.
Right? Especially a family of 5.
Oh, no,
even if you go to
doubt.
matinee, it's still $100 popcorn or whatever, because you can't walk in and take your kids and say, nope, no popcorn for you.
Yeah.
So it's $100. And I think that's the measure of success, is being able to say, you want to go see the new Spider-Man movie? Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go on opening weekend. Let's go.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. So that's awesome. I love it. I really do. So to go into a little bit more on, like, the business side of things, I like to ask people this question. You can kind of tell me, and I guess tell the audience here, like, a little bit more about your business, but why do you do it? Like, the question is, like, what makes you tick on a daily basis?
Because it pays the bills. No, I'm kidding. No, so what we do, it isn't very popular in many people's opinions. So Smith Corrode, what we do is collection law. It's called creditors' rights, and what that means is making sure a business is set up properly to have the right contracts in place with their customers and clients, making sure that they've got all their foundation and their business set up right, and then from there, in the event they don't get paid, we go after their customers and clients who didn't pay them. So some people, and a lot of people, especially in New York, look at this as an evil thing to do or a bad thing to do. Now, we don't represent the big bad large financial institutions that people think are whatever. What we do is we represent a lot of mom and pop shops, a lot of small business owners, closely held corporations who honestly did work and didn't get paid. So our clients include, landscapers, electricians, a lot of contractors, things like that. It represents a lot of small business owners who maybe do provide a service for like the food industry, whether it's fishing at 2:00 in the morning or it's providing linens for a restaurant. And then even like digital marketing companies and content creators, you have to have a contract. You have to know what your deal is with your customers, and then you've got to have payment terms. And a lot of people don't necessarily do the right thing, and they don't pay the people that provide the service for whatever reason. So what we fight for is we're fighting for these small business owners who didn't get paid. So it's not big bad companies. It's the little guy, and sometimes the people that we're suing or that we're going after are the ones with tons and tons of money who didn't pay because they made a mistake, or maybe they had sticker shock and have a little bit of buyer's remorse afterwards, but they still signed a contract. So what I always say, and actually when my oldest daughter was in kindergarten, she asked me, "What do you do?" And she asked me, do you divorce families? Do you put people in jail? I'm like, no. What is it? So I summed it up with, we make people keep their promises. So at the end of the day, everyone we're going after signed something, agreed to something, made a promise, and they're not living up to it. And for me, that kind of level of I guess you could say honor, is you made a promise, you made an agreement, let's do it. Now, obviously, there's some people, maybe they fell into hard times, they can't afford it. Then our approach is always, what can you do? Let's do a payment plan. Let's do what we can. Let's waive some interest. Maybe we do that, and let's see if we can start making some good faith payments. We'll reduce it to writing, have something agreed where you'll start to pay it off, but you still receive that service. So we actually saw a lot of work during when COVID hit, because there were people calling up for they would reach out to us. So clients who had given us $10,000 cases in the past realized that they were writing off, $2,000-$3,000 cases from even 2 or 3 years ago, prior to COVID. And they said, wait a second, why am I leaving that on the floor? And our approach is, don't. Let us give it a shot. And let us help you get that payment. Because maybe it's an HVAC company that did a service call, and the customer didn't pay for whatever reason. So let's find out. Maybe it's a commercial business that forgot, and maybe they fired someone and the person who was supposed to pay didn't. So maybe it's just a matter of fixing the accounting. Or if it's a homeowner and they did the HVAC work, maybe they were upset about something. What is it? Let's solve the problem. And we take that approach. So I guess it's problem solving.
Absolutely.
But I'm really passionate about it, and it makes me happy to be able to engage with other business owners to help protect them.
So, I mean, I guess that's really the answer, right? Like, why you do it. It's because you are passionate about it, and you can kind of help people through those tough times. I mean, I know I'm a business owner. I know what it's like to not get paid, and it's just like, holy crap, like, what's wrong? And the company you're dealing with got millions of dollars, and you're just like, it's only a few grand. Like, I don't understand. What's the problem? But yeah, we need people like you, that go out there and keep people liable and keep those morals straight, because it's honestly one of my biggest pet peeves these days is like people who say they're going to do something and then don't follow through.
No accountability, right?
Oh my gosh. It's like, what's wrong with you, And like that goes for anything, and not even just in business. It's like personal life too. Like friends that are like, oh, like let's hang out, and then all of a sudden, the plans are set, everything's there. You got a reservation, whatever, and then all of a sudden, like, oh, sorry, like an hour before, you're like, what the hell? Like, I can't stand that types of things. It happens every so often. There's nothing you can do about it. But
that's right.
So yeah, I mean that's awesome. That's really cool, and it's interesting how you kind of got into this business too, like coming from how you started.
Yeah,
you know, like
wanting to be in the show business.
yeah,
right.
and then you just like, kind of just fell into this, but then really liked it and found a community that you know that you thrive in, kind of
Yeah,
thing. So
yeah.
so that's awesome. So I like to ask people about this is like a life question, just about winning, because it is the Follow the Winners.
That's
podcast.
right. That's right.
So
Hey, that's the name of the podcast. Right.
exactly. But I like to ask people if they've ever won at anything in life, and it could be literally anything at all. It
All the
doesn't
time.
have to be
All the time.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I've had a very lucky life. Maybe it's by sheer force of will, but pretty much every election that I can remember running for, I won. I remember running for a student body secretary, a student council secretary in elementary school. And I remember the platform that I had was, why does a secretary have to be a girl? And there were a lot of people go, good idea. And then it certainly didn't hurt that I gave out fortune cookies to the third graders and fourth graders that said, vote for the only Juan for the job.
No
so
way.
So it's like I bribed the third and fourth graders. Right? I didn't even realize what it was, but everyone was giving away the buttons, those button pins, and people were giving away like stickers. Like that's what they did as their promotion. I gave away fortune cookies.
That's sick.
But I won that election, and then even as recently in some of the more professional organizations. I've served as president of the Commercial Law League of America. Wow. Won that election, and I've obviously involved in that. There were many other positions to run for during that time.
Wow.
And I'm currently president of the New York State Creditors Bar Association.
Wow.
Although that one was funny because I was secretary at the time because most of the people on the board were not as conversant in technology. And they said, we need someone who knows how to scan a PDF. So I'm like, okay, I can do that. And then send out emails. Okay, I can do that, and I can type fairly quickly. And then when the president at the time, he passed away, they said, well, Tim, why don't you be the president? I went, because I'm 20 years, 30 years younger than everybody else. Like, why are you picking me?
Yeah.
Well, you know how to do all that stuff, so you might as well do it. And that was over 10 years ago.
Wow.
Because I keep standing up every year and go, I'm the interim president. Does anyone want to take the spot? And they don't. And so I'd say, if you say, like, where have I won? I've won in I guess, in my credibility.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And even in the funny thing is, I always say that there's people in these organizations that are smarter than me, more experienced than me, but I think there's no one more diligent than me. So I think that's really my
Your ability to follow through, kind of thing.
I think I'm more entertaining.
I mean, you definitely are. I saw you do karaoke that night.
That's right.
That was awesome. I was blown away. I thought I was at like a Broadway show. I was like, this is amazing. You couldn't get me up on that stage though.
No, you should have done it. Karaoke with a bunch of friends. Like that's in a private event too. Like
I needed more alcohol, I think. I was like, this is just.
All right, next time.
No, I mean that's awesome though. You have tons of winning scenarios, and I'm sure there's plenty more that you could even go into. But those are that's awesome.
Yeah.
Like to be at, I feel like that's also like being a president of those two associations inside of your career has to feel like such a win because you're like, okay, well, I've learned so much in what I'm doing. So it kind of like gives you the affirmation that you are a professional.
Right,
like,
right.
Not just a professional, but like a top professional in your industry. So that's...
Yeah, because it's not... I used to say, is it a popularity contest? Maybe to a little bit it might be, but you're not going to get it if you're incompetent.
Yeah,
right?
No, of course.
And the other funny thing is the Commercial Law League, the presidents tend to be... well, the funny thing is it was traditionally white men near the end of their career. You know, they'd have a long career in
Which
doing
makes like
commercial
almost
law.
sense for a lot of things.
Yeah, and then you run for president near the end.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, the year that I ran, there was a woman right before me. She's a super smart woman. She was the president the year before me, and then I came in, and they actually made the announcement. I was the first not white president of the organization.
Wow.
The organization was founded like 1890 or something,
crap.
1895.
Wow.
So I was like, that's a pretty cool thing.
Hell yeah.
It's a cool thing.
Yeah. I mean, you're in the business. I mean, and you're changing up the game. We live in a melting pot, realistically.
That's
so
right.
it doesn't surprise me. It's just, matter of time.
Yeah, the woman before me was only like the third woman president
Wow.
in 100 years.
Wow.
You know?
I mean, it does make sense though, especially those types of roles. You usually see older people taking them over, just because I guess they have the time for it. You know?
Right. I mean, these roles take a lot of time. So
Yeah.
if you're a guy who's a senior partner in your 60s,
Yeah.
you've got the capacity to do it.
Yeah.
I took it on as saying, look, this is an opportunity for me to make some change
Yeah.
and make an impact. And yeah, I'm in my 40s, but it's a shot.
Yeah. No, so I mean that's awesome, and I'm sure it's helped so much with growing the business, with credibility of things.
Sure.
I don't
course
know.
it has,
That's
of course it
how
has.
I look at
Yeah.
stuff like that, especially when I work with clients, and I'm like, what are you associated with? And I'm like, great. Now let's like tell everybody about those
That's right.
associations, because it might make somebody actually hire you over the next guy, just
Yeah.
because they're like, oh well, he's associated with he's the president of this, so he's got to know what he's talking about.
Right. Right.
So it kind of just gives you that almost instant trust, or almost
It's a
could be like
credibility
referral.
boost.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
for sure. So, I mean, that's awesome. So going into the next question I have on here, which is about core values and cultural beliefs. The best way I explain this, I could even kind of go back into what I was saying with like the soccer scenario.
Yeah.
Is growing up like being told that money is hard to obtain, like it doesn't grow on trees. And now that I'm 28 years old, I have to. It's almost an everyday process still, but it's really just changing that thought process as much as possible, and finding that that's not the case in life. Anything is hard if you tell yourself
Yeah.
that it's hard. So it's those kinds of things. But in your life, and it doesn't have to be at a young age, it could be something more recent. But is there anything that you've had to almost like change as time went on?
Yeah, I mean, I would say the biggest thing is this firm, it's being founded in 1930,
Yeah.
didn't have a company culture that I thought was fun. People didn't have fun. They went to work. They dreaded coming in on Mondays. They were watching the clock at 5 o'clock to leave, and that's not me.
Yeah.
And that's also not the attitude that I wanted everyone to have. Yeah. So I think that's the first biggest shift. The other one was, people would say things like, "That's not my job." Or there are not enough hours in the day. People say things like that.
Yeah.
And my response to that is, everything is everyone's job. I mean, we had a situation once where someone's computer was going down. They had an issue with whatever it was. And I realized that if I called the IT guy, it's going to be an hour or two before he can get here. I want to solve the problem. I knew how to do it. I took off my suit jacket, rolled up my sleeves, got under the desk and fixed it. And I remember the people saying, the attorney going, I can't believe that the senior partner of the firm just did that. And I went, well, it solved the problem. There's no such thing as not my job, right? Yeah. Everything's everyone's job. Obviously, certain people are tasked with certain things to be efficient, but we're a team. Yeah. That's the first approach. And that wasn't the approach that the firm used to have. The second big thing with saying, there's not enough hours in the day, to me, if someone says there's not enough hours in the day, there's 3 problems. One problem is they've got too much work. So maybe we need to hire somebody else, or maybe we need to divide up the work. Number 2, are they doing something wrong? Are they doing something inefficient? The old adage, work smarter, not harder. Like if someone's saying there's not enough hours, what's the problem? And the third is our process broken? Maybe there's a different way to do it. Maybe there's a more automated way to do it. Maybe there's a smarter way to do it overall. Yeah. So when someone says there's not enough hours in the day, or I can't get to that, I don't punish them.
Yeah.
I don't yell at them. I go, why?
Yeah.
Which one of these 3 scenarios is it that we can solve this problem?
What caused you to get to that point, though? Is it just working with the old partners and
basically?
Going through it?
Yeah, I mean, yes. Part of it is realizing how antiquated some of the systems were.
Yeah.
But it's also just from working with clients. So sure. I talked a little bit about the One Law Group brand, which is the brand where we do a lot of work as outside general counsel for businesses. So we do more than just collections and contracts. We go into their business to help, essentially as a consultant, to kind of figure out what they need next, whether it's a vendor agreement, whether it's a different kind of operating entity, something like that. And with that level of problem solving, I was reflecting on myself and going, all right, then we need to have that level of problem solving internally as well.
Yeah.
So I kind of do if I do it first and I know it works, now I can help others do it too, and I can teach others to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm building a process, right?
Right.
I mean, you have to be able to showcase that you can do it efficiently, and then you can kind of delegate it along.
Right.
No, that's great. I feel like it's also like something I've taken into my own business is like from working with other people and other businesses and just seeing like basically how terrible sometimes some of them were. You're just like, oh my gosh, like no wonder why people leave this place every month, you know? Like,
Yes.
it's like I see why, you know? So it's cool to be able to do that, especially when you have your own business, then you can implement those things that you didn't like.
So yeah, let me give you like a stupid example. Like in our industry, there was something that people used to say in collections, right? Cradle to grave collectors. So that's a person who would handle a case from the beginning to the end, cradle to grave, right?
Yeah.
So you know, it was actually something that the senior partners used to market. They say, we are cradle to grave. And I guess the idea is that if you're a customer, you've got a single person who's going to handle your stuff from beginning to end. So from a customer's perspective, maybe that was a perspective where you go, oh, that's cool, right? It's one guy or girl that is going to be my point of contact. I didn't like that. And the reason why I didn't like it is because someone who's really good at maybe negotiating and trying to solve a problem may not necessarily also be good at drafting up the documents. And I literally saw a guy who was fantastic on the phone, and he unfortunately is not with us anymore. He was fantastic on the phone, but he typed like this, you know, with two fingers.
Yeah.
So why am I having him draft a document when what I should do is have him negotiate, close the deal, hand it off to someone else who's really good at typing and has that level of attention to detail, which is very different sets of skills. So why would it be cradle to grave? It doesn't make sense to me to be cradle to grave. So I took that approach, and my senior partner actually at the time didn't want to change. And since he changed, since he passed, I think when we made the change, it certainly increased our efficiency.
Yeah.
And our clients are happier, even though they may be hearing from different people.
Yeah.
We make sure that from the very beginning, I set the expectation. I tell them that. I'm like, look, you're gonna hear from lots of different people depending on the phase of the case. You know, if it's at a certain point, it's gonna be this team. If it's a different point, it's this team. If it's an accounting issue, it's this team.
Yeah.
You know, whatever it may be, it changes along the way.
Yeah. But you built that process, which obviously helped you flourish and make things even better
Yeah.
than they were. So that's awesome. It's yeah, I mean that's like literally growth in a nutshell right there, right?
Right.
Really cool. Really cool. I mean, it makes a lot of sense, and I like how you have your office set up too, where like everybody, like the collectors are in one spot, like everybody has that, and it makes a lot of sense as you're talking about. It's like, yeah, like that's literally how you even have this building set up.
Yes.
You know,
But that was the part of the plan. When we go to the building, we could do that to create that efficiency.
Yeah.
But the other funny thing is we also move desks from time to time. When we realize, oh, the workflow of a particular file, I want it to go in a circle, or I want it to make a loop. I don't want it like zigzagging across the room. So we'll change desks if people's job responsibilities change, or if we realize there's a better way to do the process.
Yeah, that's smart though. It's super smart. I mean, those little tiny things. If you can keep shaving things down, it's almost like a pit crew. You know, like if you can just keep trying to figure out, you're like, all right, you know, how do we make this faster? It's like, all right, glue the lug nuts on the wheel so they're already there. You know, like, all right, cool.
Right.
Like that'll make it faster. Like all these little things that you can do to try.
I love that pit crew analogy. I've never heard that one before. I think I'm going to steal it from you.
I just came it up.
Yeah, they just gave it. I'm taking it. No, but I think that's the idea. Is someone who's really good at, for example, doing a particular move on the tire.
Yeah.
That's the person who's going to be doing that tire. Somebody else is going to be doing another aspect of the pit change.
Yeah, there's like 10 guys out there, and only like 5 of them are touching the car, kind of thing. You know, the rest of them are like either moving things over or like whatever. So,
but there's also a guy holding the jack, and there's another guy holding the hose for the pneumatic drill, right?
Yeah.
So I think that if they're not all in coordination together, it's not going to work. And if you had one guy or girl come in to change it all themselves, they'll be there for 2 hours changing one tire, right?
Yeah.
So you're right. That's I'm going to steal that one.
Yeah.
I love that.
It works though. Yeah. It works very well. So yeah, that's also my goal in my business, you know, and also a guy like Roy Peter, who you know, like who does processing for businesses. It's like, okay, those are the types of people that I'm trying to like. It's like, okay, how do I learn more of these processes?
Right.
How do I shortcut this? Because it could take years for you to figure this out on your own, or you could just like meet somebody and they're like, yeah, like there you go.
Well, I think this is years of figuring it out.
Well, that's my point though, you know, and you had that experience,
but also seeing what doesn't work.
Absolutely.
Like, that doesn't work. I don't know why.
Yeah.
So how do I fix that?
Yeah. No. So it's great. It really is. So So to go into the next thing, it's kind of like out of left field kind of thing.
Sure.
I like to ask people about spirituality. It doesn't necessarily mean like religion. If you are religious, that's awesome. But do you do anything like meditations or like manifestations? Like, have you ever used anything to get you to this point at all? Or
Nope.
that's okay. Though.
I'm fairly agnostic.
Yeah. Do you ever have like a quiet time that you find yourself
Nope.
like?
There's no such thing.
Yeah. I guess with kids too.
Yeah,
so.
no, I'm not that guy.
Yeah.
I'm not that guy. There's no meditation involved. There's no chill out time.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't get me wrong. I watch TV. I'll watch a movie.
Oh, yeah.
But generally, one of the jokes I tell a lot of people is that if it doesn't have monsters or superheroes or aliens or robots, I'm not going to watch it. So I don't watch like lawyer shows. I don't watch any documentaries. It's. I know it's bad. I don't read books.
Yeah.
I used to read a lot of books.
Yeah.
Obviously, in law school, you
You
read
have to,
everything.
yeah.
And then earlier in my career, I read a lot of books about being a lawyer, about being a negotiator, about being a business person. But I'd say in the last 5 or 6 years, I've read one, maybe 2 books.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they were both written by clients.
Oh, cool.
So that's why I read them, because
Yeah.
the client wrote it,
Yeah.
especially because they
You're,
said,
like, inclined
this
to-
is about you.
There you go.
So I had to read those.
Yeah.
But I don't really read books. I don't like quiet time. I don't need quiet time.
Yeah.
I do, I'm a go kind of guy.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with
Yeah.
that at all. So then on the opposite spectrum, which is fear, do you have anything, like say a fearful situation comes up, even like, something as big as getting this building, I'm sure was not the most comfortable of decisions. So like things along those lines, is there something that you can kind of pinpoint that you do when fear comes into your life? Is there something that you do?
Huh.
I know. Tough.
I don't know. I don't think so. So I have a big poster in my office. It's one of those motivational posters. It's a
Yeah.
picture of a little sailboat out on a choppy ocean.
Cool.
And it says on the bottom, it says the optimist hopes the winds will change. The pessimist complains about the wind. The leader adjusts the sails. I kind of don't waste time with
Yeah.
fear.
Yeah.
If there's a problem, I figure out an obstacle. I'm also cocky enough that that if there's a problem, I hope I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But I also surround myself with people that can help you solve problems. I think I surround myself with a lot of really incredible entrepreneurs, advisors, problem solvers. So I don't really have fear. I mean, I don't like going on planes, but
Yeah.
I don't love roller coasters.
Yeah.
I don't like elevators.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's not what you're talking about.
Yeah, so I mean, fears overall, it's definitely can be tough.
I would say that I don't have fears.
Yeah.
I have things I'm thinking about, but I'm not a worry guy. I'm not a stress guy. I don't have a lot of concerns. Do I wonder if my kids will be happy, or do I wonder if they're going to find a career or find a vocation, find something they want to do? Do I wonder, as my parents age, as everyone, what's going to happen next? But I don't really spend a lot of time worrying about it.
Yeah. You're like solution oriented is kind of what I'm hearing.
Too much of a jerk. No, but
Not at all,
it's
though.
about solutions. It's about, I can't control that they're going to get older.
Yeah.
So why don't I just make sure they're comfortable? And I can't control what my kids are going to do, so I'm going to give them opportunities.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if I don't like something, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, my mom always told me growing up, like, we always have options. That's what she always would tell me. She's like, sometimes you might not like your options, but at least you have options.
Right.
That's kind of how I've been approaching my life for a long time now. Is just when these stressful situations. I mean, sometimes it's just like, holy shit, what am I gonna do? But then
Right.
it's like, all right, let me just sit back, figure out my options. Even if they suck, I have options.
Right.
I can do this. I can do this. I can do this, and one's usually better than the other.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, like I said at the beginning of my career, I failed.
Yeah.
I failed at entertainment law.
Yeah.
Working in those big companies, I realized either I'm gonna compete and lose, or I'm gonna compete and win, which would have been worse,
Yeah.
because then I would have lost my soul.
Yeah.
At some of those big companies, it's a really competitive business,
Yeah.
and that's not the lifestyle I wanted.
Yeah.
So when I went to the artist side and I failed there, I came running home, and I did have the option. My parents, they're immigrants, so my parents, legally came here and built up their own lives. But we weren't rolling in money. I got student loans.
Yeah.
So even without having, a silver spoon in my mouth, I was still able to have a fallback plan, which was come to my parents' house.
Yeah.
And I did have the opportunity. I still, paying off my student loans. It's still the opportunity to go to law school.
Yeah.
So I guess you could say I don't have fear because I'm confident enough that there'll be a solution. And even if the worst case scenario happens, I surround myself with a lot of people who can help if that happened.
Yeah.
And I think I've done right by enough other people that if I needed that help, I'd get it.
Yeah. Would you call that place that you were at, like when you failed in that type of law, as like a rock bottom type of place? Was it like...
Yeah, but it wasn't that far because I wasn't homeless.
No,
right?
for
Like
sure.
there's a lot worse situations.
Sure. Yeah, but it put you in that situation, right?
Yeah.
Though.
Well, yeah. I mean, I couldn't make my rent.
Yeah.
So I had to run home to my parents' house.
Yeah.
Because there was no money coming in.
Yeah.
But was I guess you could say then I was afraid of what was going to happen next. But I also knew that I was going to find something.
Yeah.
And I did.
And then you made your way through that, and that's why I'm only saying that because I could see like that's why you are where you are now, because you've hit that really tough point.
Yeah.
But then you blasted through it, and now you are where you are today.
Yeah.
Quote unquote a winner, basically.
I'd like to say that.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
I am.
I definitely think that you have all these winning tendencies and this beautiful company and a family and all these things that most people, we call the American dream, basically.
Right.
So
yeah, and I did it in my 40s. Like that's the thing. You're right. If I had to say that, what the great thing is, I'm happy that this didn't happen. That I didn't achieve this in my late 60s or early 70s.
Yeah.
Because I know there's a lot of people that still work really hard to get there, and I got here now.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. Now I'm still concerned and worried. I'm like, are we going to be able to pay the mortgage or do all that stuff? Because here it is. We've got this giant place, and we've got all this momentum. Can I keep it up?
Yeah.
I'm pretty confident. Yeah. Knock on wood. I'm pretty confident we're gonna be able to keep it up. But just to hit on this, where did this all come from? Is I think that the whole theater experience I had, that humbling experience of always having the leads, always being prominently featured, and then auditioning and getting nothing.
Yeah. Being
and getting no roles, and then realizing this is not going to work.
Yeah.
I think that humbling experience taught me, all right, I can get through that. I can get through anything. And I didn't fear rejection. So I don't fear rejection. And I think that's part of it now is even if I meet a client and they say no, or prospective client and they say no, all right.
Yeah.
I don't let that bother me. I don't let it bother me.
Yeah.
The other funny thing is that lack of fear of rejection also helped a lot when I was in college. Dating girls. There's no fear of rejection.
Oh, 100%. 100%. But that's also sales, right? Like, I say that to anybody. Like, I have tons of sales experience, and I was told no so many times to the point, like, I don't care. If you want to tell me no, it's like, I have no hard feelings. I don't care, I'll find somebody else who will say yes. Don't worry about it.
That's right. That's right.
Then you have to keep that faith, and you can't get stuck on the no's. And I've seen people get stuck in no's before, and they get into a very dark place, and they don't sell anything after that. And you're just like... Dude, it's you, you know what I mean? It's in your head, it's which is crazy. But I think that's awesome. Like really just you're hitting like each one of these perfectly.
Good.
These questions. It's been so good so far. So I mean we're basically like pretty much wrapping it up here. I do like to ask everybody if they're working on anything new, maybe like a project or there's something. I mean this is obviously what we're sitting in, it's pretty new. But is there like anything that is new and exciting in business or even personal life that you want to talk about?
I mean, the biggest thing is this building.
Yeah.
We've been here for just about 6 months.
Yeah.
A lot of people said, hey, that's a really big nut. It's a big undertaking. One of my advisor friends actually said to me, why don't you just pay off your mortgage and take all the money that you have and pay off this and get a fancy car and go on a world cruise or something? And I went, no, because that feels like if I do that, that's not building to more. That's resting back at what I've got.
Yeah.
And I'm not that kind of guy.
Yeah.
So it's for me, it's not a particular project, but I'm not going to just coast by.
Yeah.
So it's still out there.
You're still building it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of interesting though, because I feel like have this same mentality that like myself, who's 3 years in business.
Yeah.
You're still like, no, I want more. I want to grow this. I want to continue to make something out of this.
Yeah.
And like that's
why
obviously.
should I stop?
Yeah, exactly.
Why should I stop?
Why should you stop? There's really no reason why you should, and you can only help more people. You can only grow more.
Right.
You can only show the people around you, family, friends, like, hey, this is possible for you too.
Right, and the cool thing is now I'm at a point that I can have an entrepreneur who just has an idea maybe living in their parents' basement, right? And he or she just has an idea, and I could say, look, don't pay me yet. We'll figure it out. Let me help you. Let me get you where you're going. And if you make it, then we'll deal with it later.
Yeah.
And I like being at the place that I can do that.
Yeah.
Because
the gratifying stage. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Totally, just to feel good about it, and maybe find someone who I can help, and then they'll turn around and many years later and say, because of Tim, I was able to get here.
Yeah. No, it's awesome. That is so good, so good. Do you have any goals like moving forward then? Like, is there anything specific that you're trying to obtain?
Specific goals. I've been so great answering. I had to answer for everything you brought up so far. No, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna buy a 3D printer for my kids.
There you go.
I mean, that's a short-term goal.
No, that's sick.
It's funny. I don't have like a long-term thing that I want to do.
Yeah.
The building was the big thing.
Yeah.
I think in the short term, I want to make sure that that they are continuing to progress. Because now my kids are going to go into sophomore year in high school, first time in middle school, and the last year in elementary school. So there's a lot involved there. My wife is very involved in the PTA to help make sure of that, and I want to make sure she's happy and can do what she needs to do.
Yeah.
And it's also making sure my parents are okay as as life progresses.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's any particular one
Family
goal.
first.
But I will say that a thing in the back of my head has always been to get back on stage, and I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to do that.
Yeah. I mean, there's tons of places around here. I feel like I met people in the networking groups that were in that.
Yeah, but my ego won't let me come in as an ensemble member.
Yeah. No, I get that though. Yeah, you want to do something worthwhile.
Right. I need the spotlight.
Yeah. Do you know Bob Middleman by any chance?
I don't.
Yeah, he's the facilitator of my ABA networking group. He was on the podcast I just did like 2 weeks ago or something. Yeah, but he's in a bunch of plays. Like I think he does like one or two a year or something like that. But yeah, maybe I make that connection for you. And I don't know. I have no idea, but it's cool. You should do it. I want to get into like some kind of maybe like not stand up, but maybe just like improv or something where I just want to help my communication skills even more than, I want to get really good at it and just be able to talk to anybody. And I feel like I kind of can at this point, but like I want to get better, even better.
Right.
I want to get the ums and the likes out of my freaking vocabulary. It's so annoying. And I do it and I watch myself on these videos and I'm just like, oh, I don't even realize it. Mm-hmm. So yeah. All right, cool. So pretty much just wrap it up. If anybody wanted to work with you or had questions for you, where would they go? Your website or email?
Yeah, I mean,
whatever.
if it's if they're a small business owner and they need some help making sure that their business is covered, they've got everything in line. It's Wan Law Group, WAN, wanlawgroup.com. Pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
And if they're a business owner who needs collection help because they didn't get paid or they want their contract reviewed to make sure that it's enforceable in court, it's Smith Corrode, SMITH, Car Road, CARROAD. So smithcorrode.com.
Okay, cool.
And those are the two avenues. Or you can go to my Instagram.
All right.
The real Tim Wan.
The real Tim Wan. Yeah. No, and I'll put all the information in the
That'd be great.
in the caption below for this.
Well, my Instagram is sometimes it's professional, but sometimes it's just me being silly.
Yeah, but that's all right. You get to see the real you, and it's amazing who you are and how you've gotten to this
Thank
level.
you.
So thanks so
Tom.
much.
Thanks,
This has
Tom.
been so much fun.
A lot of fun.
Cool.